Hey guys, my name is Mahashan Mohammed and welcome to this video tutorial where we'll be learning how to create a curated resource website like the project I've made before called Creator Tools. Now what Creator Tools is basically it just curates all the softwares and all the tools that you can use to create digital products of any kind. And it just lets you browse anything according to your specific requirements. Okay, so like for example, I want to create an app. You can actually go ahead and narrow it down. I want to create something like only a Windows application, and I will just show you all the tools that are used to create that. And then you can choose. I want to be. I'm that kind of person that you can narrow down the resources. And these tools are not static. Okay, as you can see, these tools are being fetched from the back end, and I can actually either choose to visit the community or visit the website, or I can go and learn certain resources. So, for example, Tangible, it will give me a link to go ahead and learn or whatever I want. Now, this is what a curated resource website looks like. It's basically what I decided to do instead of the normal thing I do is like for example, in private messaging you have a way to implement that in technical sense. I thought, okay, maybe from now on I'll probably do certain mini projects, and if you're probably doing some mini project or web project or something, you can just follow this tutorial without having to understand some third party or additional technical concepts. So if you're creating something exactly like this one, I mean like a curated resource website that simply now all these tools are coming from the back end. Now this is not like a marketplace where other people can come in and submit resources. This is something that only you can add, but this will get updated without the user having to refresh, I guess. Okay, refresh their page. So this is basically, for example, you have a list of things and you just want to arrange them and be able to provide a easier way for users to access certain resource. And that's what curated resource website is. Now I do have a full, not a full, but if you're beginning with Bubble, which you don't have to really know any kind of programming to follow this tutorial series. I'm not series, but tutorial. But if you want to understand Bubble, I have a crash course set up, and the link will be in the description of this video. Please go ahead and follow that video series, and you'll be good to go. But for this video, you don't have to because this is a completely beginner-friendly video. So if you don't know what Bubble is, it basically lets you create any kind of web application and even mobile application, but for mobile application you do have certain restrictions, like for example it doesn't really look good, and it's really difficult because you have to cram every single part of your application in a single page and then simulate it as if all those parts are a part of the same application. And it's difficult to digest everything in one part, but I'm just telling you guys, it's like, yeah, it's perfectly suitable for web as of right now. So with that out of the way, let's get started. So what I did here is, if you follow me on YouTube, then you know that this thing in particular title Tinder inspired app. My last video was about how to create a Tinder clone, so I'm just continuing on that. I just deleted everything I can see. I just created a new app from my Bubble account. So you can just go ahead and create a new Bubble app, start from the blank page, and I just, started it here. So I'm gonna start from scratch. I don't really have anything here. It's a blank canvas, just an index page, and nothing at all. Okay, no data set. I don't have anything ready. So first, let's begin by creating the UI. Okay, so first thing for this one we're gonna create a very simple content resourcing. Like for example, all we're gonna do is we're gonna allow the user to be able to just browse all the resources based on one category, but you can add a limited number of filters. But I'll tell you guys how the filters work on Bubble and how you can add items from the back end. Okay, so the first thing is for the decoration. I'm not gonna decorate my page or anything. I'm just gonna focus on the most important thing, and then you can actually go ahead and play with the design. I'm only gonna focus on the technical aspect for this video. I know it's not the best way, but Yeah, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say categories here, and what I'm doing here is basically I'm just giving a heading to, okay, and I'm just going to put it like this, alright, just check it, oh sorry, yeah, so that will be it. I'm gonna add a group, okay, just to add that contrast. Okay, now over here are gonna be a list of categories. Now you can even fetch the categories from the back end. Like for example, if you want to introduce a new category after some time, you can do that as well. But in most cases, you're better off keeping this static because if you want to introduce a new category, maybe the filters need to be curated according to that. My suggestion is if you're creating a curated resource website, don't keep this dynamic. Only the item list can be dynamic coming from the back end. The next thing you want to add is a repeating group, and repeating group is what is the list of items. Okay, now it can be a list of anything. Okay, I'm just gonna stretch it across. Okay, and then I'm just gonna put it like this. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like make the separator as a solid, and I'm gonna make this light, and probably put this down over to 50, like this. Okay, so and then what you wanna do is you wanna keep the go down here. No. Let's go down to border and then solid. All these are bonus things, I mean bonus points, but then it just makes your application look a lot better, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I have two columns, like I'm going to view two things. I'm going to make this application primarily for the desktop, but yeah, you can play with the responsive and make sure it works on mobile as well. Now I have a dedicated video on how to make sure your websites are responsive. If you want to do that, just follow the course that I have put on the link in the description below. For that, you will need to go through a small crash course. It's pretty easy. It's not a lot. You can just jump to if you're stuck with a specific aspect, you can just go to the crash course and just jump to that specific part of the video. It will only run through that specific part, and you can just follow. And yeah, I do have a 5 minutes video on how to make sure your website is responsive. If you're interested in doing that, you can do it. Okay. So next thing I want to do is I want to add a text here. Okay. Now this is basically going to be the categories, and you can also you can put buttons here. I'm gonna add like a 10. No, I'm probably gonna put like 7 categories here. Okay. Now I'm gonna like instead of putting just simple text, I'm going to like grab a couple of emojis so they're represented by an icon, so it looks a lot better, right? So I'm really sorry. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna type in emoji. Now, okay, these things work, but okay, let's go down here. The first thing I'm gonna do is like you can create a resource for any kind of stuff. So for example, I'm gonna create a resources. I mean, a list of items that places to visit. So probably I'm gonna say winter sports. Just some places like an Airbnb kind of site. Okay. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure it is at least 18. I'm gonna make sure it's center aligned, and I'm gonna make sure it is bold. Okay. And I'm gonna make sure it's centered vertically. Okay, I'm gonna duplicate this down here for like a number of times. Now, yeah, 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna press Shift and down arrow, so like 3 times, just to keep this aligned neatly. I'm gonna duplicate that again, and yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna add a couple of other categories as well. So winter sports, probably another one here, probably for spiritual trips. No, crap, no. Hold on a second. Copy that. Like some ancient lady. Spiritual places. something like that. And then we're gonna also have another category for adventure, sports. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making some random resource site. Oh, and of course for esports. I don't know what I'm not. I don't really know what I'm curating, but I'm just showing you how to do it. Okay. So as you can see, what I'm trying to do is I'm just gonna make sure if I click on any of these, and that corresponding category of things will just come up here. Now you can of course have a separate button here that will add another filter to this. So the next thing I want to do is I want to say I'm going to have a heading for what this item is, and that would be probably heading 3. Name of the place. This is basically a resource. Like I'm gonna curate a list of places to visit, maybe in Europe. By the way, for those of you guys who follow me on YouTube or someplace, this is like the first video that I'm making outside of my home place. I'm right now in Sweden, so yeah, so I just moved on to some other place. Maybe you could see my audio being different now. The background noise is probably null, or I don't know how the audio is. This is the first video I'm making outside of my home and in a completely new device, so I hope this video is gonna work out. So anyways, the name of the place, and then I'm gonna say probably some rating, and then I'm gonna add some, I don't know, for rating, and then I'm gonna say out of a possible 10. Okay, so this is going to be probably, I'm just gonna type in 9 out of 10. That is default. Okay, we're going to fetch that from the backend, but anyways, rating, and then probably location, city, and then country. Okay, and we're gonna have a button here that will take us to directly to his, to the this particular listing's website. So I'm gonna say visit website, or visit official website probably. All right, and I'm gonna delete one of these F here. Too many F's. All right, so I'm gonna say this one is just boring, so I'm gonna change that to something like this one. Looks a lot better, I guess. But yeah, you still have one issue. You can't really test it because I've not set up the backend. Um, there's one more thing I want to do. Now, when you say vertical scrolling, this particular part, this whole page will not scroll down. Only this particular repeating group will scroll down. So if you want the whole, if I'm gonna scroll down, I don't want just this part to be able to scroll, but I want to be able to scroll the whole page, okay? And for that, you will say layout style will be extended vertical scrolling, which basically means that the number of rows does not actually matter in this case. I know it's a little confusing, but just follow along. If you do have an image to display here, you can of course display an image inside the repeating group. Now this is going to be basically a listing. On the type of the content and data source, we don't have anything as of right now, so just ignore it. And well, let's go to the data here. And the first thing you want to do is on the data. This is the most important part, and this is to set up the data set or whatever. The first thing you want to create is something like probably what are the resources. Now in some cases this will be like a software. Exactly what you're you know curating, because this is a terminology that not your users will see but you will see as a developer. And when you're working on the workflow and when you're designing the logic, if you're keeping some really complicated names, you'll not be able to recall them or probably remember them. So what are you actually curating? In this case, we're curating experiences. Okay, so first, there's a number of things that we're saving on the database. The first thing we're saving is the name of the place, the location, the rating, and the website URL. So basically, the URL will be triggered when he clicks on this. He will go to the official URL. So that's what we want this to happen. So in order to do that, we want to save one, two, three, four things. Okay, the first thing is the name of the place. Name of the no, just keep in name because the name of the item is already experienced. So let's go ahead and choose the field type as text. Rating. Now you can of course allow users to be able to rate certain experiences, like you can have a like button or so. Now I will have a dedicated video on how to create something like a Reddit clone using Bubble, or maybe I don't know if I have done this already, but if I have already done it, then apologies. But if I have not, if I have not made a video on how to do the rating, I'll do it in the next video. So for now, I will just fetch this from the backend. Now the rating will be fetched from my own. I'm just gonna put a rating here, or I don't know. Yeah, so you can save anything you want, some description or whatever. I'm gonna click on create, and the next thing you wanna save is a location. Everything here is text, and even the website is a text. In this case, now you may have certain things like geographical address. Now if you're going to show maps, then you'll need geographic address. Now if you want to display the place of the a small preview image of the place, you can choose image. But for now, I don't need it because, well, I'm just going to show you the concept of curating the content. That's basically the goal of this video. So let's go ahead and fix this thing up. The first type of the content is experience. And the data source is going to be, you're going to be doing a search for experiences. Now, you don't really have any filters. The only thing you want to do is you want to sort by the created date, and descending will probably be no. So by default, all the items here will be coming from the backend. Now we will learn how to add items from the backend. That is basically from this tab here called app data. This is where you will be able to add items to your application. Okay, so let's go ahead and these items here are basically using resources directly, like they're not coming from the backend. Now we did connect the front end element here, this list here, to the backend, but it doesn't really like these individual elements, like this button, the text, these text here, the heading here, they don't really have connection to the backend. So let's go ahead and plug these. Instead of the name of the place, we're going to say insert dynamic data. Dynamic data is just a fancy word for saying it's just coming from the backend. So I'm going to say the current cell, basically cell is like every list here in every individual item is like referred to as a cell. And we make sure that the list, the type of the backend data set that it's using is experience. So it's saying from that data set called experience, we only want to pull out the name of the item that's there into this here. And the rating here, you only have a possible 10, so I'm gonna say current sales experience rating, and you can actually leave that out of a 10. That's going to be always default. So this thing here, current sale, is going to come from the backend. The location as well is going to come from the backend. So I'm going to remove the city, country. I'm going to say insert. It's a current sales experience location. On the visit official website, it's going to go to another third-party URL. So I'm gonna go ahead and say probably navigation, open an external website. So I'm gonna say insert dynamic data, current sales experience, website. Now you will enter the website URL here, so don't worry about it. We'll go to the website, which is the URL that's mentioned on the dataset. So we have the dataset working. Now these things have to work. And one more thing, we also need to save one more thing on the data types. and that is a category. Okay, that is the main field with which you're going to categorize. So yeah. So first thing we want to do is okay. So we want to say start every workflow now. For the first thing, when this particular button is clicked or text is clicked, we want a couple of things to happen. We make sure that the first thing we want to do is on the repeating group on the element actions. When this button is clicked, we want to display a custom list. Okay, let's say custom list is basically the items fetched uh, from the backend, and we're gonna change a couple of things. So the first thing we want to change is we want to like say we're gonna display items on this particular repeating group. You can actually hover onto this part here and see if you are selecting the right item. So we want to pull the item from the backend, which is experience, but we want to add on filter here. Filter is like constraint. So you want to say category is equal to winter sports. Now just follow along, and if you have whatever is your first category, just do that. And what I'll do is I'll just copy this, like edit and then copy. Select this, edit and then copy. I'll go to spiritual places and I'll just paste this here. And I'll go click on the data source, and instead of winter sport, this will be what is that? Spiritual places, right? Now this thing doesn't have to be accurate. This is only for your backend, but this has to be like if if on the data set, if it's saved as spiritual places, it will display all the items which have the category as spiritual places. So I just want to do the same thing to adventure sports, and let's say adventure sport, and that's it pretty much. I'm gonna do the same thing for esports as well. Sports. That's it. So that's how you actually categorize resources. And let's say if you want to have like a search feature, you can do something like this, which actually is not the right way to do, but then this is how I do most of the time. Is on the search for experience, we say maybe the name of the type contains input A's value. I'll tell you what I'm doing is I'm saying now by default this particular text here, this input here, is basically just an input field, like a text box. Okay, search for experiences, probably just like that. So if you have tags, you can actually search for experiences much easily. Anyways, I'll show you guys what I did. On the experiences, well, you go to the data source here. What it says now, sometimes a person is going to type in like, let's say Disney, and if he's gonna type in Disney, it is not the same as Disneyland for the computer. So if you're going to say instead name is equal to, if you say is equal to, it means that if the input field contains exactly Disneyland, only then will that particular element be displayed. But if it says contains, it means that, for example, if the user is searching for Disneyland, but he's lazy to type in Disneyland, he's just gonna type in Disney, and if he's gonna type in that, he's gonna see Disneyland popping out here, probably other Disney parks here as well. So that's what I'm doing here, and basically, as soon as it starts, it searches for all the elements that it searches for all the experiences with the name of the value that is entered here. By default, we don't have any content here, which means that it's blank. So it's not going to search for anything at the start. Okay, technically it will search, but we don't have anything to search for. So how do we actually search for items? So what we do is we say on the workflow, if you want to have a search feature, just go to click here to add event, and you want to say on the elements, when the input value is changed. Basically, if on the search bar I type in something, now initially the field is blank, so now I'm gonna type in something, so the value is changed. So for that, we say if the input's value is changed, the first thing we're gonna do is on the elements action, we're gonna say display list, um, search for experiences value. Basically, what I'm doing here is, oh sorry, uh, on the data source, you want to say do a search for experience, name or location or categories or whatever it is. Name contains push value. I'll tell you what I'm doing here. Is basically if he's gonna type in something here, he's gonna search for all the items in the backend, and that data source is basically the data set that is embedded into this list. So what I'm doing is I'm saying display the list of experiences where the name contains the value that is in this input. That's pretty much it. If you go and preview it, we're done with pretty much the backend, but we don't have any items here. It's actually working, but we don't have anything here. So let's go ahead and add some, items here. Let's go to experiences and add one item here. I'm gonna say winter sports for now. Be careful with the capitalization because we have made sure that this is a text, and this has to be exactly as per the because this is actually working on the basis of filters. So yeah, and on the location you're probably gonna say Hong Kong. Okay, the name is Ocean Park. By the way, I'm not in Hong Kong. I'm in Sweden right now. But yeah, just saying. I'm saying I visited Hong Kong. By the way, yeah. Anyways, visit a website. I don't know. Probably gonna search for the I'm gonna search for the Ocean Park's website. Ocean Park, Hong Kong. And then I'm just gonna copy paste the URL here. Okay, so that will be pretty much it. Actually, you know what? The weird part is that it is actually not a winter sport. Okay, you can see Ocean Park. It is 7 out of a 10, and it's located in Hong Kong. So if I visit the official website, bam, I came to this site. So you can the same way you can actually go ahead, and if I go ahead and choose spiritual places, it does not display. Go winter sports, it displays. So by default, if I refresh this page, it will show Ocean Park because by default we don't really have anything displayed here. So let's go ahead and add one more item if I want to show you guys how the search feature works. So let's go ahead and add probably, I don't know what I'm gonna add right now is esports probably. Okay, and I'm gonna say like Stockholm, Sweden. Name is it's something like esports festival. Okay, rating 9. I don't know. The website, my official website. I don't. This is just a fake listing, but yeah. Let's go ahead and check this out. So esports festival. If I click on esports, oh, hold on a second. Let's go to the workflow. Oh, for the esports, we just have sports. It has to say esports. So let's go ahead and refresh this. Okay, there you go. So let's go ahead and refresh this now. Let me go ahead and show you guys how the search feature works. So if I'm gonna say ocean, and if I let it go, yeah, Ocean Park comes in. If I say esports, like esport, and it says esport festival. So that's how the search feature works. You can of course have a button here that will trigger this functionality instead of having when the value is changed. Now you can play around with filters, and it's basically just the constraints that actually matter here. And that's all you need to know in order to create a resource. I mean, content, what do you call that, curated content or resourcing website. So I hope this video helped you guys out. If you did, please be sure to subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of more videos planned, and I will post them on this channel very soon. Please be sure to support my channel by visiting my website at hosho.in and subscribing to this channel. And I shall see you guys in another video very soon. Thank you guys for watching.